Hey there, what's going on? This is Dave with the second episode of the behind the scenes and finding out how we go about creating the Enterprising Minds podcast and video episodes while having families with young kids, while working day jobs, while doing everything else. So part one, if you haven't seen that yet, go watch or listen to that. That's specifically on the tools we use to record, audio production, mic choices, a little bit on lighting. So if that is at all of interest to you, go find that. If you want specific recommendations on the tools we use, including software, hardware, episode transcripts, go to davedohertymedia.com/enterprisingminds, and you will find the links to the various episodes and all the things that we call out in each of the episodes. So go check that out. If you didn't catch the first episode, this is a series where we're covering, how we produce the episode, what it looks like with the post-production, because as we've gone through and done a year of recording these, that's one of the more frequent questions we get is, how do we do this? How do we go about creating this? So on this particular episode, we're going to cover video editing and transcription. And you might be better served watching the YouTube version of this if you're listening via podcast right now. You can find that on the Enterprising Minds YouTube channel. I personally use Logic Pro, and we will jump into the specific recording that I did previously on that. And then after that, using the video file to generate a transcription and captions via a tool called Descript. So both of these tools have been unbelievably important in terms of creating a show that is both audio and video versions, and being able to create them in a decent amount of time. And without the tool like Descript doing the transcriptions, we wouldn't have any of the money to be able to afford transcriptions or captions or any of that. So very cool advances in AI that make some of these things possible, but there's still a lot of work that goes into the production process. So without further ado, we'll jump into that, and we will see you on the other side.
All right. So you can see we have a blank project in Logic. It just updated itself, so all this is new. All right. So like I said about templating, we have the watermark here that gets placed over the video. You have the music intro here. You've got the outro, and then the intro videos for anybody who's watched it on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this, drag it into the timeline. I don't want that. I want the intro, drag that on the timeline. Yeah. All right. Just analyze that. I know there's nothing wrong with it. Fixed. Okay. Anyway, like I said, to make this as fast as possible, in terms of editing and getting things done and good enough, everything that I have done usually goes through any of the automated tools. I have gone through and tested whether or not it's too compressed or too whatever. I nerd out on this kind of stuff. For, I would say 90%, 99% of people using these audio analysis fixer things gets you really close to good enough. So long as the input, like I said previously, so long as the input into these editing softwares is high quality. These things are nice little polishers that will get you to where you want to be in terms of quality. So this is where I will take this and I will take the raw video output from the last recording that Alex and I just did. We put it on. You can see it comes into these clip pieces, and now it's rendering and transcribing. You can see there's this background task window. I really like this window because the longest piece of post-production is video rendering and editing. Now, if I was to buy a newer computer from then the one that I have, more powerful one, then that wouldn't take as much time. But like I said previously, use what you have just to get started and make sure that you will actually, do the projects. Before you get too crazy. Now, you saw this, the video file output from Zoom brings in the audio track from the recording. This is a combination of Alex and my voices talking via the Zoom piece. This is what I think most people would edit. Now, what I've said previously is that, I don't do that. So I'm going to take the bounces here that we just did in Logic, and I'm going to drag this in and try to line it up as much as I can to the audio. And what I did here is the audio piece. There's a menu if you right click the image to detach audio, and that will drop it down here like you see here. And now you can see I have the two different ones. This is where I have to line them up and zoom in to make sure that they are in fact lined up, because it would be really, really annoying if you see the lips moving and the audio is not attached to it. That bothers me a lot. Okay. I think I zoomed in too much. Yeah, I did. Okay. So here you can see that even though I eyeballed it when I imported it, it is not close at all. So this is the music track, the intro music track. This is the original raw output from Zoom, and then here's what we have from the Logic output. So now I just drag them to align them, and I make sure that they line up. So when you zoom in this far, you can be off slightly and it won't matter, because it is like we're talking microseconds here. All right, so that is lined up. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to get rid of this one. Actually, no, I just hit delete. Now it's out of the project. So now here we have the intro music that we like. We have the Logic import, audio import that we like, and the video that we like. So this is where too, just as a nice to have, I come up here, I do balance color. Since, both of us are using different equipment, we have different lighting, we have different spaces. This at least brings the two images relatively close to being aligned with each other. So it's a more pleasurable viewing experience. So that's that. The only other setup thing that we have to do here is grab this watermark Oh, I'm zooming out up there. I don't want that. I want it here. Now, some people might see this and go, oh my God, I can think of 40 ways of making this faster and better. And that's great. Let me know any shortcuts. This is, like I said, this is just how I've done it. I don't proclaim to be a master. This is just what works for me. So this overlay sucks. Don't want that. Make it smaller. Put it in the corner. Now we have it watermarked. Wherever we are, I want the outro here. And actually, I do 2 of the outro clips and the music. So this is where I try to line up the end of the video to that final kind of bass drum snare hit. So yeah, I like to have that fade out a little bit, and then from here I do a fade in to where the video stops and the outro starts. And then just in case, put a fade out on that. All right, so now you can see with all the templates, we're good to go. I just like to double check that this is lining up properly. Okay, so in playing with the setup of not just the templates, but also the way in which we record the episodes, I know I can line this up and fade in that music once we start talking about, hey, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. And then that will line up nicely with the outro and the music. So here we go. We are pretty much done. At this point, now that I have everything set up, what I will typically do is I will rewatch the episode, basically, and I will mark down any chapter kind of switches, like if we switch topics or points of interest, I might mark down a timestamp for YouTube chapters. And yeah, then now we will wait for all of the videos to render, and we will, all the media files to render. And then I'm going to take a break for lunch while the computer does that. All right. Hey, what's going on? So I'm glad I went back through that, the timeline on the video, because there were a couple of audio spots where it started clipping. So some volume tweaks. And then when I did the automatic audio fixing in Final Cut on the music intro, that took out a ton of bass, which is kind of the whole point of that kick drum sample. So I got rid of that, but those edits are now done, and we will bounce this to the various file formats we want. So we will come here, and I always start with exporting the MP3 that will be uploaded to our podcast syndication network. Some people use Libsyn. We use Buzzsprout. The reason I do the audio here rather than from the Logic profile is because if I do any editing of the timeline, like getting rid of scenes, cutting out some things that maybe were said in the moment, but we wouldn't want public. I will take those out there, and then the video and the audio all line up into a certain thing. The reason for the editing process is, not all of us are good at saying the right thing all the time, right? So having some space, having some editing time built into the content creation process is very necessary, just so that you don't, accidentally put your foot in your mouth, which, it seems a little too easy to do these days. So yeah, as this is bouncing, I will see you on the other side. All right, hey guys, so you can see it's nighttime now. And this is actually a perfect situation. The rendering that we tried doing, the bouncing from Final Cut, ended up failing for whatever reason, most likely because I was running Zoom and Final Cut and a bunch of other stuff. So that's my own fault. But this is essentially what happens, is that, I do what I can when I can, and at nighttime's kind of the perfect time for that. So I have other examples of what we do after the bounce. So I will share my screen again, and then we will talk through what happens after we have the audio and video. I'm going to skip the kind of upload to Buzzsprout. I talked about that before, about how we're using Buzzsprout. It's a great platform if you want to look at it. I also have experience with Libsyn. That one's great. If you like bare bones experiences in terms of uploading your files and navigating stuff, to each his own. So those are two really good ones. Check those out. So we're going to skip that, and we're just going to look at the rest of the content creation, because a lot of podcasting, blogging, YouTube stuff is about repurposing, right? You can get more value out of the assets you create with repurposing. So we're going to take a look at that. So I will share my screen here again. Now you can see, hopefully this is big enough. This is Descript. Now, Descript is a great tool. It has the capabilities of an audio editor, a video recorder, if you want to. I don't use it for that, like I've said before, right? For this particular podcast, I wanted more control over those particular elements. So here I uploaded the video file here, and through AI, it gives me the transcriptions, and I can identify that there are 3 different speakers, and then it will go through and analyze, and then I will tell it, this is me, this is Ruthie, this is Alex, and it will put together this transcript and title. So you can see it's not perfect, but it gets you 95% of the way there. And what's great about this is, in the beginning of the pandemic, I started a project with a friend on a guitar site. And at the time we were paying like $1.50 per minute for transcriptions. So as soon as I found this tool, we're talking $1,000, $2,000 a year that I've saved. Even more so now, actually, because I'm able to produce even more content more quickly because of all the AI and templatization and all of that stuff that we've talked about. So what used to take me about 2 weeks to create a video and a podcast and the blog and the transcript and captions and all of that, now it takes me an afternoon or a broken up day. So it is wonderful. This is essentially, I drag it in. I don't edit it anymore because I just don't have the time for it. And like I said, it gets you really, really, really close without having to do too much. But in a recent update, it now has these AI actions. So I have recently taken advantage of this to do what would you call them? Chapters. Okay, hold on. What? Ask AI. That's what I wanted. So if you use Ask AI, you can do add chapters and markers. And this is wonderful because previously I would have to rewatch the entire episode and then make those determinations on my own, right? And for any of the long form episodes, your interest and your attention inevitably wanes. So getting really close here is really nice. So that not necessarily what I wanted. So, like anything AI, you have to play with it. I can show you what it gave me in the previous response, and it was wonderful. There's a lot of AI features in Descript that are wonderful that we're just not using. Like it can make it look like you're looking at the camera the entire time. It also has the ability to clone your voice so that as you edit the transcript, it can clone your voice to say something different. I have mixed feelings about that one, which is why I don't use it. But the other nice thing that this tool has that I've used sparingly are these audiogram templates here. You can see I've built the custom brands here for any particular good quote, which is wonderful. So like I can highlight this entire section and I can turn it into its own clip. And then, duplicate this to a new composition that creates its own clip. And then I can come to these templates and then it will copy the audio and the video and the transcript to then create the vertical video or the square one. So that's great. Again, when you have time for all these things. But the vast majority of what I use this tool for is really to get the transcript, get the subtitles and the transcript so that I can upload the subtitles to YouTube with timestamps. And then the transcript becomes what you find on the blog, on the David Doherty Media site, and the show notes and all of that. So I'll export these, and then any of those timestamps or books or titles or anything like that ends up, I have a Google Sheet that I use.
Okay, that's it for the video and transcription and caption section of the behind the scenes of Enterprising Minds. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something from that. Any questions, comments, please drop them in the comments below, or you can find our email in the podcast description or YouTube video description below, and let us know what you thought. I know that when it comes to marketing technology or any of the creative tools, everybody's got their preferred choice. There are lots of tools that are perfectly capable of doing the exact same thing we're showing here, but I'm just showing you my version of it that works for me. So I hope you find the tools that work for you so that you can bring your story, your voice out into the world with either by yourself or with your friends. So take care. We'll see you in the next episode of Enterprising Minds. Cheers.